Ever since I made the Sheik vs Heavies video, a lot of people have been asking me for a Sheik vs short characters one. So what's wrong? Why does Sheik struggle against short characters, and how do we deal with these matchups? Well, that's pretty much what I'm going to explain today, and I'll first start off by giving a general idea of how to play against short characters, and then go in detail on some of the more common characters Sheik struggle against. In my opinion, Sheik's worst matchups are the Rats, Squirtle, Mr. Game & Watch, Olimar, and Pac Man. And from what I've seen from Void's matchup chart, he also pretty much agrees on this, and if you haven't caught the similarities between the before mentioned characters, they are all short. So the first thing that makes these matchups so difficult for Sheik is the fact that she literally can't hit these small characters. And you might think, well, who does? No one really does, but it is especially frustrating for Sheik, who has to link several moves together just to get 20%. It's not like other characters who need 2 hits and they get 25% on the opponent. Sheik really has to get in there, and she really isn't able to do so against these short characters who dodge absolutely everything. Then there's forward air. The move becomes significantly weaker in this matchup because you won't hit anything with it. You can simply forget about rising fair, it's not an option anymore. Landing fair is decent, but in general, your neutral will consist of baiting and punishing, and all that Sheik creativity you usually have available in your neutral is pretty much gone. Lastly, they are a lot harder to combo. Sheik combos are long and consist of several moves, and therefore, the opponent has several chances of escaping the combo sequence. So being a small character grants you an easier way to escape combos. Sheik either has to be super efficient with her combo game, or just stick to her basic 4-throw bouncing fish and hope she can out-neutral them somehow. Now, how do we deal with the shorties? First of all, you need to start baiting and punishing. This is done by focusing your gameplay on needle camping and trying to make them approach you and commit more so you can punish their mistakes. If there are clear weaknesses in their gameplay, such as with Olimar, his recovery is the weakness, you generally should focus on keeping him off stage. If not, make sure to keep advantage state for as long as possible and keep your game plan focused on winning neutral at all times. By this, I want to specify that you should prioritize stage control over combos that reset neutral. It's also very handy to practice your ledge trapping game, as it lets you keep the advantage state for longer. Down tilt, jabs, and crouching will be a lot more relevant, and having a good out of shield game is extremely important. Mix up your out of shield options as much as possible, because a lot of the time when you're in disadvantage, your out of shield game can be a game changer. The Rats are agreed upon by many Sheiks to be her worst matchup. The Rats control neutral with her T-jolts and pretty much has no weaknesses against Sheik. Your win condition is based on how you deal with T-jolts. Here you have to be aware of patterns in your own play and in how your opponent pressures you after a T-jolt. Make sure to be aware of Pikachu's quick attacks in neutral, and don't forget Pichu's F-tilt and back air being great kill options. In advantage, you mainly want to pressure them to use quick attack and punish after. Try to stuff out quick attack with nair, down tilt, or needles. To deal with T-jolts, you want to use rising needles, and if you're confident, grenade also explodes when in contact with T-jolts. In disadvantage, you mainly want to mix up your DI. You're pretty much combo food, so DI all over the place, and make sure to SDI as much as you can. Try to SDI Peach's down smash upwards. I'm saying try because it's really hard for Sheik since she's a fast fall. Also, when you're off stage, try to recover sideways rather than high or low to not get gimped by their thunder, T-jolts, or down air. Squirtle is a pain in the ass when he hits you with his combos, but he has one thing for sure: low range. There are 2 things you want to do in this matchup: wall him out and force him to switch. To wall him out, you camp with needles, bait his approaches, and punish accordingly. Be aware of his grab and that forward air combos into grab. Sometimes Pokemon trainers know how bad this matchup is for Sheik, so they typically stay Squirtle for longer. You generally want to push him off stage and edge guard him / pressure him until he switches to Ivy. If they end up not switching, Squirtle is lightweight, so you can kill him quite early. Make sure to practice some kill confirms on Squirtle. I absolutely hate this character. Basically, if you don't perfectly space your moves, you will be hit by up B. Make sure to space your forward air correctly. and when they up B, be quick to jump up there and punish before he can down air. If you're too slow, try to punish his landing instead. The main idea here is to play a mid-range game with Game & Watch with full charge needles. Your main source of getting damage is needles to dash attack. It's the sad truth, but it is what it is. Make sure to not use grenade as you can store up the explosion for the Orio bucket. Pac Man wins this matchup because of one thing and one thing only, the frickin' hydrant. Since Sheik literally can't do any damage, that hydrant becomes a pain in the ass. Pac usually sets down hydrant in any given situation to charge his fruits behind and hopefully hit you with it later on. Expect the hydrant to be thrown as you juggle him or just simply whenever he is in the air. You must have charge needles ready as much as possible and play this matchup quite slow. Pac struggles to deal with shields and loses neutral if Sheik plays the game slowly. A very useful thing to note is that the hydrant has 15.6% HP. Pac Man usually tend to land behind the hydrant with a back air, which does 11.8% damage. This means that the hydrant has a remaining HP of 3.8%. Since Sheik really doesn't have a safe move to use against full HP hydrant, she should stay away from it. But when Pac Man attacks it with back air, note that forward air, down tilt, and dash attack can actually launch it, which is very useful to reverse the rolls against Pac Man. To deal with this matchup, you need to make sure you get those Pikmas off you at low percents and to keep pressuring him when you got the advantage. Up tilt is a good move to get the Pikmans off, but depending on if the Pikmin is attached to your back or your front, you should use back air and neutral air appropriately. Out of shield, Olimar tends to up smash, so when landing with forward air on his shield, make sure to mix in some jabs to stuff out his out of shield options. Ledge trapping Olimar and capitalizing when he's off stage is the main strategy, so always push him off stage. For these small characters in terms of stages, you generally want to go to Lilat, Smashville, and Town and City. You want to ban Final Destination and Pokemon Stadium 2. Lastly, I want to tell you guys that I have a TikTok, so please check that out. If this video helped you out in any ways, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. I love you all.